$13 so far. Oh, I lost someone. No. No. Le bias. Le bias. And top 2 again. Memes. Les memes. Should we go that way again? Or should we go this way? We'll go this way. Yeah, I know a lot, well, some of the history for what happened in the Battle of France in 1939-40. Or that thing, the mess of World War II. Early war, even. Yeah, the French were, well, the French soldiery, for the most part, were brave. The problems that they had were, there was, well, just so many, really. For a start, they were kind of, although they had, at that point, I think it was the largest army in the world, the most tanks and so on. They didn't really use them to the best of their ability. Neither did they have very good tanks, nor did they have the best tactics for them and their use. The way that the French tank commanders would try and fight was in a one-on-one duel, like knights of old. Basically, they'd, you know, find a tank to fight against and just try and slug it out with that tank. And that isn't what the Germans did, so they suffered accordingly. We've committed. Hello. What the fuck? It's a bush shooting at me. Oh, it's one of those Italian plebby vehicles. He's run away. But yeah, they were badly led. The politicians that were in kind of charge of France and England at that point were completely unaware of what was going on with regards to Germany and their aims, as it were. There was some fortune for the Allies in World War II. Certainly the German leadership didn't do the Germans that many favours. Oops. Oops. Oh. B1 Ter OP, please diff. Please diff. Hello, Rubber, welcome back. Sorry, I'm concentrating on clubbing some seals at the moment. It's hard work. Oh, hello. I'm damaged. Boo-hoo. They're boo-hoo. I'm damaged. For la France! For la France! Die, Italian scum! What are you doing? What are you doing? You silly people. Bots even, possibly, maybe. I forgot how much fun this vehicle was, to be honest. Oh, there's something. No, come back! It. $13 so far. Oh, I lost someone. No. No. They're biased. They're biased. Yeah, what? Ha ha ha! Germany suffers, mon ami. Germany suffers. The B1, when it was encountered and when it was operated, it gave the Germans problems. The problem with that, or the key word you should be picking out of that, is that operated. Oh, that's the wrong gun. Oh. Hello. And the problem, I mean, when I say operated, there was instances where the B1 was still entrained, and by that I mean it was on its train carriages when it was overrun by the Germans. That basically means it wasn't in action, the crew weren't in the vehicle. It wasn't in an operable state, even. Basically, the Char B1Bs gave the French quite a few problems as far as transportation went. Likewise, other vehicles did. Same thing for the Allies. Like, for example, the Matilda for the British. Because of their slow speed, they couldn't necessarily keep up with the faster tanks nor the infantry that were motorised. So they were quickly left behind, and it basically meant that they couldn't continue an assault in the same way that a lighter tank could. They also had lots of other issues. When I said that the special train cars, I think that was maybe the Char 2s, but I'm not on the Char 2C, I think, possibly. I'm not 100% sure about that without checking. And I think they had literally a special train car made up for their transportation around the country. And I think it was the Char 2Cs. It could have been a division or a group of Char 1, Char 1? Yeah, B1 Ters, even, or B1 Bisses that were caught in the same manner. I mean, there was quite a few different encounters, if you understand what I mean. And it wasn't all number 16, just before the game ended. Right. But yeah, when they were first introduced, they were possibly, or regarded as being some of the most capable vehicles on the planet. And it was only in their use that it came across that they weren't necessarily as good as lesser potency vehicles that were just better controlled. I've got one particular book that I can refer to for this instance. And in fact, give me a second, I'll get it. Yeah, it was Flavion, France, 15th of May 1940. The Panzers destroyed the first DCR. Trapped in a debacle of their own choosing, the Char B1 and H-39 tanks of the French 1st DCR are easy prey for the German panzer guns. The destruction in what was one of the relatively few large-scale tank versus tank battles of the 1940 campaign gave notice not only of superior German command and control methods, but also emphasised the importance of speed and surprise in the execution of such encounters. It showed too how outclassed were tanks armed with only the now obsolete 37mm gun that the Germans had against heavily armoured opponents. As a result, the gun versus arm race accelerated from this moment. The arrival of the Char B and H-39 tanks of the French 1st DCR in the region of Ermeton, Flavion and Corrion throughout the early hours of 15th of May had been anything but orderly. Due to the difficulties of the road march from Charleroi, or Charleroi even, along routes jammed with refugee and military traffic. Confusion and panic were rife. Both B and H demi brigades reached their harbour areas extremely short of fuel after a 23-mile low-gear journey in 14 hours. It took 14 hours for them to do 23 miles. That basically emptied the fuel tanks pretty much. Despite continuous German air action, no attempt was made to hide among nearby trees and hedges. The tanks sat in the open, quite unaware of their immediate peril, because no attempt was made to deploy a reconnaissance screen to the eastward. It now describes the German attack, and it's basically Lieutenant Colonel Sykenius, 66th Panzer Battalion, spearheading the advance of 25th Panzer Regiment in the direction of Flavion, took no liberties. Scouting armoured cars and motorcyclists of 7th Panzer Division found B Demi Brigade and reported its position by radio to Sykenius, who adopted what the divisional commander, Major General Rommel, called sea battle formation. The picture he received was of enemy heavy tanks immobilized, engaged in filling up from fuel trucks. The supply echelon having at last arrived piecemeal shortly after lunch, following a frustrating journey. Basically, the French tanks were refueling in the field, and the Germans caught them without fuel, quite literally. Rapidly, Sykenius and the Germans pushed on and started attacking. The French were literally at this point not in their tanks, and they were refueling them. The panorama depicts the action at its height. German 38T tanks are firing their 37mm guns from 200mm or less into the thinner side and ventilation grills of the Char Bs. The Panzer IVs are bringing down 75mm fire against trucks and dismounted crews. Their low velocity, high explosive shells almost harmless against the thick French armour. It goes on to describe the situation. Basically, in that one encounter, I don't think the Germans had any losses, and they wiped out virtually the entire Demi Brigade. B Demi Brigade, I think that was, and H Demi Brigade. And that literally was the vast majority of the tanks there. Or the tank force. So the way it went down, World War II wasn't... Well, it was the dawning of the new era of weaponization, I suppose, if you want to call it that. Almost the perfection of industrialization, or the effect of that on military warfare. World War I showed parts of it. It basically just showed how devastating it could be. And World War II carried on that tradition, sort of, but modernized it further. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. See you soon.